Lesson 29, graphs. Graphs are different ways of representing information. And a graph has a title. In this case, in example 29.1, the title is Cars Sold. This example is a bar graph, in this case a vertical bar graph. And what it's showing us here is the months of the year, and here how many millions of cars were sold. So what we have to see is that in January, for example, there were 2 million cars sold. In February, there were 3 million cars sold. And then in March, it was 6 million. And then in April, it was 2 million again. So with that information that is very nicely represented, we can answer questions. So in the first question, it says, how many cars were sold in February? Well, we just look up here in that bar. It tells us that it is 3, so we put 3 million cars. Now we have to realize that here is telling us the units. So it's not just 3 cars, but it's 3 million. Okay, so in the next question, it says, what is the difference? Remember, difference is subtraction. What is the difference between the cars sold in January and in March? So again, January we said there were 2 million. And then in March, there were 6. So once we find the information, we just subtract 6 minus 2, which is 4 million. So the difference between these 2 months was of 4 million. In the second example, they're giving us a pie chart. The pie chart has that circular shape and is divided into pieces that go accordingly to the percentage of the total. So in this case, we see the title, monthly expenses, and then there's the subtitles for each division. So $120 are spent in housing, $60 on gas, $90 on food, $45 on fun, and $45 on giving. So again, it's a very clear way to see how the money is spent. So it's a very easy way to represent this information. Now, the first question says about what percent of the income is spent in housing and gas. So as you can see, we might not be completely sure, although if we add those numbers, we see that the total is 360. So we could easily see what is the percentage. But just by looking at these, we can see that this line here cuts it in half. So it's about 50%. Actually, it's exactly 50% of the income, what is using for housing and gas. And again, if we were not sure, what we would have to do is find the total, which the total in this case is $360. And then just divide the 120 plus 60, which is 180, divided by 360. And that would give us 50%. Now, the second question, it asks how much is spent on giving fun and food. So all we have to do is just add 45 plus 45 plus 90, and that's going to be $180. So again, notice that it's very simple. We just have the information right there, very nicely organized, and we just have to be able to know how to read it and understand it so we can analyze it and answer questions. So let's look at this example, example 29.3. Notice the title says temperatures in 1 week. And this kind of graph is called a linear graph. And we could have used another kind of graph, for example, the vertical bar graph. Notice that it looks very clear. So it says that on Monday, the temperature was 24. On Tuesday, it was 28. Now on Wednesday, notice kind of is in the middle, so it's 21. Then we have here 26. On Thursday and Friday, it's another 28. Now we can answer these questions. The first one says, what is the mean or average of these temperatures? Remember that to do that, we have to add all of the different temperatures. So we have Monday, 24, Tuesday, 28, Wednesday, 21, Thursday, 26, and Friday, 28. Now, since there are 5 days, we're going to divide by 5. And then the answer is 127 over 5, which is 25.4 degrees Celsius. And that would be the average temperature for that week. Question B says, what is the mode of the temperatures? Remember, mode is the one that repeats the most, and in this case, the only one that repeats the most is 28, so 28 is the mode. Okay, so this is very important for you to understand and to know how to analyze a graph, because graphs are given in many different contexts, in the newspaper, in articles, in studies, in research. So it's very, very important that you understand how to read them and the different elements of a graph so that you can also create them and use them. So I hope this is very clear. Have fun doing math, and I'll see you in the next lesson.